I have nothing new to teach the world. Truth and nonviolence are as old as the hills. Mahatma Gandhi. Hi everyone. The second chapter of the third unit in the 8th Standard English Reader is titled Rosa Parks Sat Still. It is based on the real life story of Rosa Parks, an African American civil rights activist. She was born on 4th February 1913 in Alabama in the United States. The United States Congress has called her the First Lady of Civil Rights and the Mother of the Freedom Movement. She is best known for her important role in the Montgomery bus boycott. Her birthday, February 4th, and the day she was arrested, December 1st, have both become Rosa Parks Day, commemorated in both California and Ohio. To commemorate is to honor the memory of someone or something with a ceremony or object. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks refused to move, and this changed a million lives. This is the story of a freedom fighter who fought against the white people for the black people's rights in America. This is the story of Rosa Parks. But before she became a freedom fighter, Rosa Parks was a very ordinary person. She was a normal, ordinary working woman. Our story begins in America in a town called Montgomery. Rosa worked in a dressmaker's shop. She had a loving family. She was not jealous of anybody. She was soft spoken and gentle. She always obeyed the laws of the country and broke no rules. But on December 1st, 1955, something happened that changed her life. Not just her life, but the lives of millions of people. On December 1st, 1955, Rosa had been working all day, and work that day had been heavier than on the other days. At the end of the day, when her work got over, the only thought left in Rosa's mind was that she wanted to sit down. But she had no chance to sit and rest at her workplace because it was getting late and everyone had started going home. So Rosa too left her workplace, walked to the bus stop, and got on a bus. There were many vacant seats. Vacant means empty or not occupied. Rosa paid her bus fare and sat down in the nearest seat. Fare means, Fare, fare means the money paid for a journey on a public transport. The bus was almost empty. Rosa felt grateful. Grateful means thankful. Rosa's feet were aching and she badly wanted to sit down and take rest. But no one else in the bus knew how tired Rosa was. The driver of the bus knew nothing about Rosa, her name, or how tired she was. The only thing he saw about her was that she was not white. She was a black passenger. He thought that was all he needed to know about her. But little did he know that he was making a huge mistake. In those days, not all laws and rules were just. There were unjust laws and rules too. That day, when Rosa sat in one of the empty seats on the bus, she never thought of breaking any rule. The incident happened before the bus started. As soon as the warning bell rang, passengers rushed in. A passenger is a traveler. Most of the passengers who got into the bus were white Americans. Each time a white passenger got into the bus, a black passenger got up from his or her seat and gave it to the white passenger. This was a rule during those days. Black passengers had to give up their seats when white passengers came in. Give up means to relinquish or surrender. The black American passengers had to leave the bus and go around to the back door to get into the bus again as standing passengers. On that particular day, all the sitting black passengers got up and gave their seats to the white passengers. That is, all except Rosa. She was too tired to notice what was happening around her. A white passenger had got into the bus and was standing at the door and looking at Rosa. Rosa did not get up. She sat there without moving. The driver could not start the bus. even if it was a time for the bus to leave. It was not possible to start the bus when a white passenger was standing and a black passenger was sitting. All the other passengers started losing their patience and they got really angry at Rosa. They started cursing Rosa. All this did not bother Rosa. She did not speak or move. She just sat there. Rosa was thinking about the unfairness of the rule for the first time. She was wondering why she had to get up after having paid the same amount for the bus ticket as the white passenger. Her ticket was not even a cent cheaper than his, and she was more tired than him. Above all else, he was not old or unhealthy. The man was asking for Rosa's seat just because he was white. Rosa decided then and there that it was not right, and decided that that unfair and unjust rule must be broken. She felt that if a rule was not just, it should not be obeyed. Such rules should not be in rule books. They should not be obeyed. If people go on obeying bad rules, those rules will stay forever. She thought it was a day to break that rule. While Rosa was sitting and thinking all these, the driver got very angry. If he allowed her to sit and left the white passenger standing, he knew he would be breaking the law. He was sure he and his bus company would be punished for it. So he got up from his driver's seat, went to Rosa and ordered, "Get up and go to the back." But Rosa sat still. She did not move. "I told you to get up," he said. But Rosa did not move. She had taken the decision to not move. The driver, having failed to make Rosa get up, got off the bus and brought the police in. They arrested Rosa and sent her to jail, saying that she had broken the law. The news of Rosa's arrest spread like wildfire. The black people of the town of Montgomery decided to fight for Rosa. They wanted to bring her out of jail. They were fed up of the unjust laws that treated them worse than animals. But they knew that they could not fight the police, and so they decided to fight with the bus company. They boycotted the buses. This means they stopped using the buses to travel. To boycott means to refuse to buy, use, or participate in something as a way of protesting. It also means to stop using the goods or services of a company, country, etc. until changes are made. The black Americans decided that no black passenger would use city buses until Rosa was freed. Instead, they started going to their workplaces in private cars and taxis. Until then, they had gone to and returned from their workplaces in buses. Now they started using private cars and taxis to go to work. Even though the cost of traveling in taxis was much higher than traveling on buses, they shared the cost. The bus boycott in the Montgomery town continued in this manner for more than a year. To be exact, it lasted for 381 days. During the boycott, the bus company lost lots of money. This was because the number of black bus users or passengers were much, much greater than the number of white passengers. So when the black Americans stopped traveling on buses, there was almost nobody to travel on them. During the time the boycott was happening outside, Rosa Parks was put on trial in a court of law. She had to appear in a judicial court. The judge ordered her to pay a fine as she had broken the law of segregation. The word segregation, in very simple terms, means separation. Law of separation is the law that allowed separate rights for white Americans and black Americans. It was because of this law that black passengers had to get up and give seat to white passengers. What an unjust and unfair law, right? Can you think of such a law in this age and century? We can't, right? But this was a rule in America during that time, and it was considered just and normal. Anyway, when Rosa was asked to pay a fine for breaking this law, her lawyers or advocates advised her not to pay it, and she decided to accept their advice. From there, Rosa's case was taken to the higher courts, and finally, the highest court, the American Supreme Court, took up her case. The judges of the Supreme Court came up with a decree that created history. They said that segregation was not lawful in public transport services. They said it was against the law of America. So, it was in this manner that Rosa Parks sat still and moved a million minds. It was she who started the Black American people's fight for equality and justice to all human beings. Americans call her the mother of the Black civil rights movement. Civil rights are the rights of a country's citizens. The civil rights movement, also known as the American Civil Rights Movement, was a struggle or fight for social justice that took place mainly during the 1950s and 1960s for the blacks to get equal rights under the law in the United States of America. It was an organized effort by the Black Americans to put an end to racial discrimination. It began in the late 1940s and ended in the late 1960s. Some of the activists of the movement were Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Dorothy Height, etc. Many years ago, before Rosa Parks sat still in that bus and broke the rule, something else had happened in another country. A man called Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi sat still in a train in South Africa. On the night of June 7, 1893, Gandhi, a young lawyer then, was thrown off the train's first-class whites-only compartment at Pietermaritzburg station in South Africa for refusing to give up his seat. This was Gandhi's first act of civil disobedience, which eventually led to the formulation of his Satyagraha principles of peaceful resistance against the oppressive British Raj. Gandhiji's protest, based on nonviolence, inspired protesters the world over, and it truly inspired the champions of the American civil rights movement. The American civil rights movement, just like our Indian independence struggle, was based on the principles of peace and nonviolence. In conclusion, I'd like to leave you with a quote by Mahatma Gandhi. In a gentle way, you can shake the world.